Welcome to another deep dive, everyone. Today, we're going to be exploring going for refuge to the Triple Gem.
Hmm.
And, we've all heard this phrase. I mean, it's like practically a cornerstone of Buddhism, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
But what if I told you there's kind of more to it? Like way more than meets the eye when you really start digging into it.
There's always more to uncover. The sources you sent over, especially that Ratana Sutta, really highlight that.
The Ratana Sutta.
Yeah, it's like this key text in the Pāli canon, and it has this really, I don't know, intriguing take on the Triple Gem. It made me think about it differently, that's for sure.
Okay, so what's so different about it? I mean, most people, when they hear Triple Gem, they think, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Like those three things are what we go for refuge to.
Right, right, and that's a natural assumption. It's almost like the Sunday school version we all start with.
Yep.
But the Ratana Sutta uses that word Ratana, meaning gem, a bit differently. It's not saying those three things are the gems themselves, but rather it talks about Buddha Ratana, Dhamma Ratana, Sangha Ratana, like as qualities within each.
Hold on. So you're saying I've had this whole Triple Gem thing wrong this whole time. Like I haven't actually been taking refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha.
Not wrong necessarily. Think of it more like when we talk about Buddha Ratana, we're not talking about just any Buddha. We're zeroing in on the specific qualities that make a Buddha, well, a Buddha.
So like what kind of qualities?
Things like being an unexcelled teacher, having this like unparalleled knowledge of the path, the whole 9 yards. It's really honing in on those attributes.
So it's more about the essence, the qualities,
Yeah.
rather than just a being or a title even.
Exactly. And this applies to the Dhamma as well. Dhammaratana, in this context, it's pointing towards the inherent qualities of Nibbana, that ultimate peace and the composure of an arahant, someone who's reached full awakening. It's highlighting the ultimate fruits of the path.
So instead of Dhamma being the teachings themselves, it's more about that final state of Dhammaness.
You got it. And then Sangharatana follows the same kind of pattern. It's laser focused on the Arya Sangha, the community of noble disciples, those who are well on their way to or have already attained awakening. It's not just any group of Buddhists. It's about a community defined by these like profound qualities of realization.
So there are specific qualities that transform the Sangha into a true refuge. It's not as simple as, I identify as Buddhist, therefore I'm in.
It's not quite as simple as that, no. The Ratana Sutta is very much about specificity. It's like,
Yeah.
imagine thinking you're signing up for a casual hiking group, but it turns out they're all seasoned mountaineers about to tackle Everest.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a vivid image. I like that. And I think this whole realization that the Triple Gem is more about like inner qualities than these external forms, that's a pretty big shift for most people, myself included, to be honest. But how did this actually play out in the Buddha's time? Like, how did people go about taking refuge back then?
Well, that's where things get even more interesting. We've got these accounts, right, from lay followers in the time of the Buddha, and they're pretty telling. They do. A lot of times they'll say something like, I go to Master Gotama for refuge, you
So
know?
not just like to this abstract idea of Buddha-ness or something.
Exactly, exactly. They were talking about taking refuge in the actual person of Gotama Buddha, like the teacher right there in front of them. That historical grounding, I think it really matters.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It makes it way more relatable too,
Yeah.
Like if you think about being inspired by a mentor or someone, you go to them for guidance. You're not like going to the idea of mentorship in general.
100%. It's about a real, like, living and breathing connection. But here's the thing. When we get to the Dhamma part of refuge, that's where it gets a little, how do I put it?
Tricky.
Yeah, a bit. Because we were just saying how that gem quality is Nibbana, that ultimate peace. And it's not exactly like you can sit down and, have a chat with Nibbana when you need advice or are feeling lost.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. It's not exactly the most approachable refuge, is it?
Not quite. And this is where the emphasis on the Buddhist teachings as the refuge comes in, instead of Nibbana itself. Remember how the Ratana Sutta actually quotes the Buddha? He says, the Dhamma and the Vinaya I have taught you, that shall be your teacher after my demise. Like his words, his teachings, those were meant to be the guide.
So it's less about go off and achieve this ultimate state of nibbana, good luck with that. And it's more like, here's the path, here are the tools, and here's how to use them.
Yes. And think about it. That grounding would have been so, so crucial, especially for those who were brand new to the path. Because here's the thing about refuge. it has to be accessible.
Accessible. So what does that look like in the context of like the Triple Gem as we're understanding it now?
Okay, so put yourself in the situation. You're feeling super overwhelmed with anxiety. Are you going to try to like embody the perfect composure of an arahant? Or are you going to reach for that guided meditation from a teacher you trust? Maybe reread some teachings that really resonate.
Oh man, one of those sounds way easier than the other. Especially in the heat of the moment.
Right. It's like if your house is on fire, you call the fire department. You don't sit there and like contemplate the concept of firefighting.
Absolutely not. You get me out of there. So it's not about like right or wrong. It's about what actually works, what's actually helpful in our messy human lives.
You've got it. And speaking of things that help us along the path, I do think it's worth talking about the whole role of faith here. Because it's different from refuge, even though they get all intertwined.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely see how that could get a little murky. How do we tease those two apart then? What's the distinction?
Well, I think of faith as existing on a spectrum, like on one end, you've got a basic belief, like, okay, maybe this meditation thing could actually help me chill out a bit.
Makes sense.
And then all the way on the other end, you've got that like confirmed experiential faith of the awakened disciples we were talking about. The ones who have like tasted the truth of the teachings directly. Their faith is unshakable because they've lived it. So, like, it's the difference between me believing my car will start in the morning, because it usually does,
Yeah.
versus the mechanic's certainty after they've, like, given it a full overhaul.
Yeah. Perfect analogy. And that's the kind of growth in faith that the Buddhist path really encourages. We might start with a simple trust in the teachings, but as we practice, as we see the benefits firsthand, that faith, it can deepen into something really, really profound.
So, okay, we've got faith, which can be about all sorts of things, qualities, realizations, that whole spectrum we were talking about.
Yeah.
And then we have refuge, which needs to be something way more concrete, something we can actually, like, reach out and touch, something accessible. So where does that leave us with this whole going for refuge thing? Because it's not like it's some minor thing, it's a core Buddhist practice. Oh, absolutely, yeah, it's central. And those qualities of the Triple Gem that we've been unpacking, those are still so important. They give us inspiration. They help us go deeper with the teachings, give us something to really reflect on. I think what's really fascinating when you look at it, like the historical context, is just how grounded in tangible things it all was.
Right, like an actual teacher, in the flesh and his teachings, and a physical community of monks, that oral transmission, that direct connection. It was everything back then.
Totally. And I don't think it's that our modern understanding is like wrong or anything. I think it's more like it's evolved,
Oh.
But going back and looking at how they practiced back then, it can really help us reconnect with the real heart of refuge.
It's like, yeah, okay, we can admire those marathon runners out there.
Yeah.
The Buddha Ratana and all that.
Right.
But we also got to make sure that we have our own shoes tied, and we've got our map of the route, and we've got our buddies to run with.
Yes, 100%. It really comes down to asking yourself, what is my refuge, like right here, right now? What am I turning to for support on my path? And that might be a specific teaching that just clicks for you, or a meditation practice that brings you peace, or even just, a good friend within our spiritual community who's got our back.
And what we rely on as refuge, it doesn't have to be like set in stone either, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it might change over time.
Yeah.
As we practice more, face new challenges, our needs shift. It makes sense.
That's the thing. It's a living practice,
Yeah.
It's not static. And I think understanding these nuances of the Triple Gem, the qualities and those tangible expressions, it gives us so much more to work with on the path.
This has been honestly so eye-opening. I know I'm going to be looking at those refuge verses in a whole new light now, that's for sure.
Yes, I love that.
That
because
is it.
questioning, exploring, reflecting, and that's all part of the path too, right?
It really is.
Yeah.
So to everyone listening, next time you're reciting those refuge verses, really take a moment and just consider, what is your personal refuge? What are you taking shelter in? What are you relying on for guidance? It might be something much more immediate, much more tangible than you think.
And on that note, until next time.